If you're looking for an easy and effective way to improve the drivability and response of your 2024 and newer Tacoma, then K&N's Series 63 AirCharger Cold Air Intake is going to appeal to you. This is specifically designed to increase airflow and reduce intake temperatures versus your stock intake setup, which will make for a noticeable difference in the way your truck drives and responds. Plus, this one doesn't require a tune, making it an easy setup. One of the main keys to a good cold air intake is, of course, the filter. This one is a washable, reusable, high-flow oiled air filter that's going to help capture a lot of dirt and particulates. Now, the additional surface area here via the size and deep pleats will help with both flow and trapping unwanted debris. And since this one is an oil design, you get the added benefit of having that additional layer of protection against dirt and particulates. The oil on the surface is nice and sticky, so it can help filter out even some of the smallest particulates that might slip through a dry filter. So especially if you're taking your truck on dry, dusty trails, this is going to help filter out a lot of that crap that you don't want getting into your engine. And the best part is you can just wash this out, re-oil it, and pop it right back in. No need to replace it. You can just clean it and be on your way. Now, oil filters like this one have a pretty long lifespan, especially if they are properly cared for, so it will cut down on replacement costs. K&N says you can go up to 100,000 miles on their filters without cleaning it in ideal conditions. However, I recommend cleaning these out every year or so just to make sure everything is performing at its best. But perhaps the most interesting part of this particular intake is the box itself. Now, we see plenty of closed boxes or heat shields and different variations of both for cold air intakes. However, I like this setup because it is a fully enclosed box that gives you a ton of options. Now, first and foremost, you can have this pretty much completely closed off to the point where it's only going to pull in from the stock intake scoop at the base of your hood. With this little panel here, you can just pop that right on and seal it off. Up top has another secret, but we'll talk about that in a moment. This is going to function as a true blue cold air intake though, because it's going to pull that cooler air in from outside of the truck, just like your original was intended to do. However, if you need more airflow, you can just pop this guy off and you'll get a little bit more air going into that filter. Now, the other cool thing about this one, you might have clocked it already, is this piece up top. Yes, this does close off, but there is actually a secondary filter right up here in the top. Now, of course, you could run this completely open if you want, just have it like that and take this filter out. Or you can keep this filter in and set it all together like so. So as opposed to a more restrictive air box or just an open setup with a heat shield, this is large enough to allow for excellent airflow, but it keeps things sealed off enough to make sure that cool air and filter air is what is being pulled in, as opposed to just hot engine bay air, which will help make sure that intake air temperatures stay low, so you get maximum airflow and minimum temperatures. Now, attaching all that trickery to your throttle body is the large intake tube. Now, this is lightweight and nice and smooth inside for maximum airflow. And because you have a larger box with a less restrictive filter, plus this solid intake tube, that's going to give you some additional sound. Now, intakes are great for this because while you're out cruising around at lower speeds, you don't hear all that much. But when you crack the throttle open, you get a great intake noise, and with this setup in particular, you're going to get some turbo noise too. Now, another big positive here is that this is a no tune required intake, so you do not need to invest in a custom tune or a flash tuning module in order to get this setup to work on your truck. Construction-wise, again, the filter is a cotton gauze media, so this will do an excellent job of filtering out dirt and debris. The intake tube and the airbox are both made from roto-molded polyethylene, again providing excellent airflow and heat resistance, as well as that nice resonance we were just discussing. You also get all of the bits that you need to get this installed, including some big hefty connectors and even this nice one for the throttle body. Pricing will come in at about $475, making this one of the more affordable options out there for this gen of Tacoma. So if you're looking for a high quality air intake that's going to give you a lot of flexibility and an easy bolt-on upgrade, but still won't break the bank, this one is absolutely worth it in my opinion. Installation gets a 1 out of 3 on our difficulty meter, and the job should take you about 1 hour to complete. Like I just mentioned, all the clamps, all the pieces, and the hardware that you need to get the job done are included in the box, and this is a bolt-on operation that does not require you to make any permanent modifications to your truck to get it installed. With that said, let's head on out to the shop and we'll walk you through the install process step by step.
For this install, you're going to need a ratchet, a 10mm wrench, a 3 and a 4mm Allen, a 12, a 10, and an 8mm socket, a Phillips head, a flathead screwdriver, and a pair of pliers. Today we're installing an air intake on our Tacoma. Let's get into it. First, we want to take this tray out, and to do that, you're going to push down on all of these clips, just like that, and lift up. Then we're going to remove this clip on the mass airflow sensor, just like that. You're gonna take a flathead screwdriver and we want to open up this clip. Set it aside. After that, we want to remove this clip right here. So to do so, you're gonna use a 10mm socket and a ratchet. Pull that, and you should be able to pull the airbox right out. And then we're gonna remove the charge tube. So to do this, I'm gonna pull back on these clips. Same thing down here. We want to pull it out. And then we want to remove these 4 bolts right here. We're going to use a 10mm socket and a ratchet. Then you're going to want to grab a pair of pliers. We want to click and push down on this vent clamp. Then we want to remove the vacuum solenoid switch plug, just like that. After that, we want to remove this bolt right here. And to do so, we're going to be using a 12mm socket and a ratchet. Next, we're going to loosen this nut, and there's a nut right here directly parallel to it with a 12mm socket and a ratchet. I am going to loosen the other nut on camera, but it's going to be very hard for you to see. Now we can remove the manifold, but there are a couple things we have to do before we can take it fully out. So I'm going to pull it out like this, and then right here, there's a clip you have to push in and push it out. So I'm going to be using a screwdriver for this. And then right here, there's a tube you have to disconnect. This is always fun. You just kind of just yank on it, pull it out like that. And then we want to remove this vacuum hose right here and the sensor. So to remove the sensor, we're going to take a 8mm socket and a ratchet. Have the sensor out. Then for the hose, I want to give it a good nice tug, just like that. Then before we discard this piece and put it off to the side, you want to take off this seal and transfer it to the inlet for the kit, just like that. And then you want to install the turbo inlet. We're going to be reusing the same nuts that we took off. We're going to put them back on, and to install this, we're going to be using a 12mm socket and a ratchet. Now, if you're watching this at home and you haven't even taken everything out yet, you can see where that nut is. Because remember before we had that big plastic piece here? It's very hard to see that, but now you can see it. Next, you're going to take your supplied coupler and hose clamp. I want to slide it over the turbo inlet. Slide that over. And then tighten it down with an 8mm socket and a ratchet. Next, we want to remove the mass airflow sensor from the old airbox. So to do this, you're going to use a Phillips head screwdriver. Take out the mass airflow sensor. Next, we're going to install our mass airflow sensor onto our mass airflow sensor plate. So we'll slide it in like that. If you slide it in the wrong way, which will look like this, the holes won't line up. There's only one correct way, and the holes line up. We're going to take a 3mm Allen. We're going to tighten these down. Then we're going to install the airflow sensor onto the supplied tube. I'm going to take our 2 bolts, thread them in at first. We're going to tighten them down with a 10mm socket and a ratchet. Then we're going to assemble our vacuum lines. So all these are supplied in the kit. You're going to connect this hose right here. You're going to take a hose clamp, put it over that hose, take this fitting, put it through here, and then we're going to tighten down that clamp with a Phillips head screwdriver. Just like that. Now once it looks like this, you're going to grab your tube from earlier. You're going to push this in. It's going to be a very tight fit. You might need to use a flathead screwdriver. We're going to remove this grommet first. Place it in the hole. All right, and you'll get it in. After that, we're going to install this portion of the intake and hook up some of the vacuum lines. So first, you want to take a hose clamp, just like that. And you're going to grab this hose, place it on this fitting, just like that. And we'll pull over the hose clamp and tighten it down with an 8mm socket and a ratchet. Now it's time to reinstall your charge pipe, like this. Once we've done that, you want to grab this piece of supplied hose, kind of push it on this fitting right here, and then there's something we connect it to on this side, which you'll see in a second. Connect it right here, just like that. Then you want to reconnect your MAP sensor. Next, we're going to take some washers, some of the supplied bolts. We're going to install this piece in the airbox. And to do that, we're going to use a 4mm Allen. Next, we're going to install our airbox. And then we're going to tighten down 4 bolts, and we're going to use a M4 Allen. After that, we're going to install this fitting with the hose clamp, just like that. And then connect it right here. Now, something I would like to mention, there is a hose clamp that is supposed to go right there, but the one that came in our kit was too small to fit over there. So, assuming you have the correct size, you're going to want to make sure you put a hose clamp there. Since we have one right here, we're going to be using an 8mm socket and a ratchet to tighten that down. Now it's time to put in our air filter. So we're going to take our big hose clamp, put it on just like that, scooch this on in here. And to tighten this hose clamp down, we're going to be using an 8mm socket and a ratchet. Next, we're going to put on our cover. We're going to place it right here. Then we're going to take our supplied bolts and tighten them down. To tighten these down, I'm going to be using a 4mm Allen. And you can complete the same process on the other 3 corners. And then we're going to take this piece right here and clip it on. Then we're going to attach our vacuum sensor to our vacuum sensor bracket. We're going to take one of our bolts, put it through here, take our nut, thread it on, and then to tighten this down, we're going to be using a 10mm socket, a ratchet, and a 10mm wrench. Lastly, we're going to install our vacuum sensor. So we're going to take our bolt we took off before, install it in this hole right here, and to tighten it down, we're going to be using a 12mm socket and a ratchet. We're going to take our hose for the sensor, plug it in right there, and plug in our vacuum sensor. Just like that.
That's going to wrap it up here for our review and install of the K&N Series 63 AirCharger Cold Air Intake, fitting 2024 and newer Tacomas. Thanks so much for watching, and for everything Tacoma, be sure to keep it right here at ExtremeTerrain.com.